What's going on, guys? Sticks here, the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a legacy deck that is centered around two different versions of Klinklang, the Shift Gear one and the Plasma Steel one. And this was not my idea. I originally got this idea from a Google Doc that just has a ton of different legacy decks on it, and this deck was originally by Michael Sletsky, I think is how you say the name. And he called it JewKlang, and just so you guys don't get all mad at me being like, oh, you can't say that, like, why would you call it that? Here, I'm showing you exactly where it is, right there. So that's what he called it when he posted this list onto here, and obviously I made a few changes here and there, but yep, that's what it's called. The name is right there. I did not come up with it, so please don't get mad at me. But before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And as for the question of the day, you guys already know what I'm doing with the legacy decks, and my question that I always do with them. Do you have anything cool coming up for this upcoming week, or did you have anything cool happen this past week? For me, it's exams. Had 2 exams this past week, have 2 more exams coming up next week, have 2 more exams the week after that, and I'm just kind of sort of starting to die at this point, so it's not a whole lot of fun, but I mean, if I want to become a doctor, it's what I gotta do. So yeah, just a lot of studying, never leaving my room, eating only when I remember to eat. Yesterday I kind of sort of forgot to eat between the I woke up at like 10. Oh no. I woke up at 8. Sorry, I woke up at 10 this morning. But yesterday I woke up at 8 and kind of sort of forgot to eat until 9 p.m. So there's that. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you guys? Leave that in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys have going on in your lives. But anyway, onto the deck. Like I said, it is centered around the combination of Shift Gear Klinklang and Plasma Steel Klinklang. And basically what it is, so Shift Gear Klinklang was a deck all its own way back when. With the ability Shift Gear, as often as you like during your turn, you may move a metal energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. I did an Electro deck. I was about to say I thought I did a Klinklang deck, but no, I did an Electro deck that had a lot of the similar mons as Klinklang. But basically, this operates the exact same as Aromatisse did in in Standard a long time ago. Wow, I feel old already. But as Aromatisse did, I think a year or 2 ago. Basically, you move around energy, deny your opponent prizes based on whatever deck your opponent is running or whatever attacker they send up. You move the energy to the mon that best deals with them and go from there. So that's really the whole strategy with Klinklang. And then the Plasma Steel Klinklang, prevent all damage done to your metal Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. In the expanded form, in the expanded format, in the legacy format, there are a bunch of EXs as the big attackers. Now, granted, there are plenty of decks that don't rely on EXs, like Weavile, Eggs, Tool Drop, and then also there are EX attacks that go through it, like G-Booster from Genesect, there's Garbodor in the Landorus Garbodor deck. So, I mean, there are definitely ways around it, but in situations where your opponent can't draw into them or can't get them set up, Plasma Steel plus Shift Gear leads to a situation where your opponent really just can't get any knockouts, and then you use your different attackers to just destroy them. So yeah, that's basically what the whole deck idea is around. And as for the rest of the mons, running 1 Smeargle for Portrait, as you can kind of see in this version of the deck that my version is originally based off of. There is Tropical Beach. In another version of it, there are 3 Tropical Beaches, and unfortunately I do not have 200 packs to spend on 1 copy of Tropical Beach, so I decided to just go with Smeargle, make this a little bit more quote-unquote budget-friendly, because, I mean, let's be real, there are still EXs, and this is the legacy format. Nothing is cheap in the legacy format, particularly Computer Search, so this is not even using budget in the same word, or in the same phrase as anything legacy is just kind of like a, yeah, that's funny, but, yeah, I don't have, it's not a not insanely expensive version of the deck. So that's just how I'm going to put it. And then one way to circumvent the necessity for Tropical Beaches to have Smeargle, put that in the active spot, and Portrait be able to get an extra supporter for turn. Darkrai is definitely necessary in this deck, so I have 2 copies of it because of the free retreat provided by Dark Cloak. Just be able to move around our Prism or Rainbow energies if our opponent like red signals up something, reversals up something, catchers up something that we don't want active. Darkrai gives them free retreat and also lets us just move around our attackers so that we can keep them from getting knocked out in certain situations. Virizion is to avoid Hypnotoxic Laser. Well, mainly Hypnotoxic Laser. I mean, granted, it does also help on other status conditions as well, like Paralysis, but it's mainly for Hypnotoxic Laser. Just move a Rainbow to whatever Pokemon, or Prism, whatever Pokemon is poisoned or statused, and Virizion's Verdant Wind just immediately heals that. Running 2 Cobalion, I guess you could call this the main attacker of the deck because of Iron Breaker. For 3 energy, does 80, which isn't great, but your opponent, the defending Pokemon, can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So in addition to Plasma Steel, it's just another way to shut our opponents down and be like, yeah, you just really can't attack this turn. So that's, I guess that would be what the quote-unquote main attacker of this deck would be this Cobalion. And also Energy Press does 20 more damage for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon. If your opponent loads up 1 big Pokemon to start hitting some stuff, you can use Energy Press, but Iron Breaker is really the main attack you go for with Cobalion. We're running 1 copy of Cobalion EX for really the Plasma matchup. With Righteous Edge, 1 energy does 30, and you discard a special energy attached to your opponent's defending Pokemon. And then also Steel Bullet does 100 and hits through weakness, resistance, or any other effects on your opponent's defending Pokemon. So it's just nice for like Safeguard, among others. It's able to one-shot Sigilif and Suicune. It really just hits for a good number. Like 100 is kind of a very nice number in the Legacy format, so that's why we got Cobalion. Wow, I need to speed this up. I've been talking way too long. 4-2 of the Klink through Klinklang, 2-2 of both Klinklangs because both are equally necessary, and then 1 Registeel is just kind of a tech for Triple Laser. Throw some energy on it and just spread damage around if you're up against an opponent who just kind of puts something active and then wants to keep some stuff on the bench as he sets up. And then as for the items, I'm going to start with the, well, first of all, there's Computer Search just because this deck relies on like puzzle pieces and getting set up, so Computer Search lets you get set up as quickly as possible. As for the search options, we have 3-3 of Ultra Ball and Heavy Ball because, I mean, a lot of stuff in this deck is really heavy. By the way, definitely use this Klinklang and this Klang because they have 3 retreat cost, which can be sought out with Heavy Ball, so that's why I'm using these versions of those guys. But this deck is very, very heavy, which is why Heavy Ball is very nice. Nope, Cobalion does not. Does this Cobalion? I can't even remember. Nope. So basically it's just Registeel or the Klinklang line, but the Klinklang line is so necessary that even just being able to Heavy Ball for only them is amazing. And then 3 Ultra Ball just guaranteed gets us what we need when we need it. 4 Junk Arm to reuse stuff that we throw into the discard pile. 2 Max Potion because what you can do with Shift Gear is move all the energy off of something that's heavily damaged. Max Potion that thing up, move all the energy right back, and boom, you have a fresh attacker ready to go. 1 Reversal just as kind of a personal tech. I don't like my opponent being able to throw something on the bench and just basically be able to throw it with impunity without worrying about it potentially getting reversaled out, so that's kind of there to make them think about what they bench. 2 Random Receivers so that Junk Arm can potentially turn into a supporter in, well, basically in early game, potentially late game, that type of thing. 3 Rare Candy, we want to run a very heavy number of that so that we can have Rare Candy when we need it to go from Klink straight into Klinklang. 1 Super Rod as a method of recursion. Really, you just kind of want to put the Klinklang line back. I guess also if you have, like, if you think that Cobalion EX is the best attacker and it gets knocked out, but mainly for the Klinklang line. And I would run Sacred Ash, but unfortunately there is not that in the Legacy format, so we're stuck with Super Rod. 1 Tool Scrapper because Garbotoxin shuts this deck down, and so having Tool Scrapper lets us get rid of that. As for the supporters, we're running more Shuffle Draw supporters than Discard Draw just because this deck has a lot of puzzle pieces, like I've said like 20 times at this point. So there are a lot of pieces that go into this deck. So we want to have Shuffle Draw more than we want Discard Draw, but at the same time, Juniper is just unmatched in its power as a draw supporter. Just being able to get 7 cards is insane. 1 Skyla for being able to search out that Computer Search or that Rare Candy or a Max Potion, really just whatever item you need. or trainer card you need, maybe even grabbing a supporter for the next turn. 4/4 of Prism and Rainbow. I would run more of these, but unfortunately we're limited to these. By the way, do not ever put a Prism on a Klinklang, then it turns into a regular normal energy, and then you can't move it anymore. I actually have not done that with this deck, but I have done it with other decks. Stupidly, I might add, but just don't do it. It's a bad idea. 4 Rainbow. Just, I mean, you can move that around onto anything, and 3 metal just to kind of have those on board for just non-special energy that you can have on board and move around. So yeah, I've talked for way too long. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Oscar 1491999. So yeah, a whole lot of numbers. Let's hope that translates into a good game, I guess. I mean, it looks like my opponent is running a dark deck, and unfortunately we do lose the coin flip, which is... I mean, this deck really does like going first. I mean, going second is a pretty significant detriment to this deck because you want to evolve you want to evolve the... what am I trying to say? The Clanks. There we go. The Clinks and... There we go. Clanks. I literally said the one variation of that that's not a mon. The Clinks and Clangs as soon as possible to get into Klinklangs. So yeah, we're just gonna be starting off with not a whole lot. My opponent does start Darkrai, and I mean, okay, at least I start Smeargle. Guys, I am struggling hardcore today, but at least I start Smeargle so that I do have the ability to get multiple supporters in one turn, and I will be able to get a... Well, actually, I drew into one, so I'll be able to get another one down. I don't want an end because my opponent didn't play much of anything. And actually, throwing the... Let's go ahead and... I don't necessarily want Juniper. I really want Oak. Really, really want Oak. So let's go ahead and grab another Klink. Because, I mean, I don't necessarily mind my... a Rare Candy being in the discard pile, because then that turns Junk Arm into a Rare Candy. So I'm going to go ahead and Random Receiver, get another Juniper, so that is fantastic for me. And, well, this is actually not bad, because what I can do, grab a Darkrai, play the Prism onto the Darkrai, and then I think... don't want to play Registeel down, because I don't think Triple Laser is going to do a whole lot for me this game. And I could Portrait, but I don't know. I'm really torn right now. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play the Registeel and Portrait, see what my opponent has. And it's a Darkrai Gardevoir Giratina deck. That's interesting. So, didn't get a whole lot. But what I can do with this coming turn is Ultra Ball for probably a Shift Gear Klinklang, I think, is the first thing I want to go for, so I can move energy around. My opponent just attaches and passes. That is great for me. Unfortunately, we're going to be getting rid of a Junk Arm in the process. That was probably one of the worst things I could draw into. But let's go ahead and grab a Shift Gear Klinklang, because, I mean, that's kind of what this whole deck is centered around. And if you don't have Shift Gear Klinklang, then you just have a bunch of random energy on board. So let's go ahead and get that thing up and going. Then Juniper, see if we can get another energy, and wow. So let's go ahead and evolve. Wait, I'm dumb. Guys, I'm dumb. I could have immediately just evolved into a Plasma Steel Klinklang. But whatever, I saw... I mean, I saw that I got the Rare Candy, and I saw that I got the Klang and the Klinklang. And I was like, oh, I can just immediately evolve into a Klang, and nope, I'm dumb. So, my opponent will be able to take a prize with this Night Spear right here, able to hit that Klinklang, or able to hit the Klang. Not the Klinklang yet, it's going to be a Klinklang, and that was a dumb move on my part, very dumb move. However, I do have the Klinklang now, so I can play that. I will now have enough energy in play to be able to Iron Breaker. What I think I'm going to do is just Heavy Ball. I really don't need to grab anything, because now I have my Steel Pokemon are all completely safe. Let's go ahead and do that. I get some stuff, not necessarily... No, is there anything I really want to Super Rod back? I don't think so. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and Shift Gear the energy onto my Cobalion so that I am... No. I don't want to move any energy off. Then I can Iron Breaker to keep my opponent's Darkrai from attacking next turn, And I mean, yeah, it's a 3-hit KO, but I mean, if my opponent can't attack and has no backup attackers, then I'm pretty set. I can even attach the Rainbow Energy next turn, just continually get more and more energy into play. My opponent plays down the Giratina, but now he can't attack with Darkrai because of Iron Breaker, and I am just going to continually be able to go for that on the Darkrai, keep it from attacking. And yeah, so we are in a very nice spot. My opponent just concedes. Okay, I'm completely good with that. I mean, hey, we win. I mean, I wish we would have been able to play a little bit longer, just because I did get the full Klinklang setup. I got my Shift Gear and my Plasma Steel one, so my Steel Pokemon were just completely immune. I had the free retreat with Darkrai. I even had the Iron Breaker going on with Cobalion, even though that wouldn't have mattered, considering Darkrai couldn't have attacked anyway due to Plasma Steel. And yeah, so that was a pretty awesome first game. Let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Baja 17-7 or Baja 11177. We do win the coin flip this time, meaning we will get to go first, which is very nice, what you 100% want to be able to do. And we start off with actually not a bad hand, all things considered. I mean, I would kind of like to have another Klink, or, you know, maybe a supporter, a non-Juniper supporter, because a Juniper would be like, well, there goes half my Klinklangs in one turn. Maybe, I don't know. At the very least, I can get some stuff down, get an energy in play, and we are up against a metal, or not a metal toolbox, that's what I'm running. We are up against a tool drop deck. And what I am going to do is just grab another Klang. Really, the Plasma Steel isn't going to come in handy at all this game, but I don't know, I just felt like getting 2 Klangs in play in case my opponent is teching a random Mon or something like that. I guess I should have potentially gone for a... I guess I should have potentially grabbed a Klang with my Heavy Ball. That way I could get my Shift Gear Klinklang up, but I don't know, I just felt like grabbing another Klink in case 1, my opponent targets down one of my Klinks with a catcher and knocks it out, or 2, he's just able to well, catcher and knock it out. That's pretty much what I was going for. And I top deck an N, which is very nice. I think actually for the time being I don't want to give my opponent a fresh hand. I am just going to go ahead and Righteous Edge, because believe it or not, that actually puts my opponent in range of being knocked out next turn, and my opponent does not have a Trubbish. I want to save my Tool Scrapper for when he gets the... I want to save my Tool Scrapper for when he gets an EXP share down on a Trubbish, so that he cannot recycle energies, because my goal for this game is to just keep knocking out Trubbish. Like, I mean, that's how I'm going to win. In order to do that, I have to keep them from being able to attack back-to-back, because the weakness of Trubbish is that Tool Drop is a 2-energy attack. If it was a 1-energy attack, it'd be a heck of a lot better. But it's a 2-energy attack, meaning that if I do knock out a Trubbish and he has an EXP share on the bench, well, a Trubbish without energy and an EXP share, then he has an attack next turn. So if I can keep him from doing that, if I make him manually attach twice to every Trubbish in order to attack and get knockouts, then I will be able to win. I'll just be able to overwhelm him. I'll also have... what am I trying to say? I'll also have the resistance. So that is very nice. I just have to, you know, keep my Cobalion. I just have to keep tools off the board, keep my Cobalion healthy, and all that. And my opponent is going to... What's he going to move around? Probably the EXP share to another Trubbish on the bench. Moves the okay, Eviolite and the EXP share. And what's he doing? So EXP shares up to Trubbish. I mean, that was kind of a given. What's he doing now? Is he moving the 30 XP share to a Trubbish? Because if he is, that's a very smart play, because Tool Scrapper can only get rid of 2. But nope, he is eviolating, however you want to say it, up a Trubbish, and that's really good for me, because what I can do right here is Tool Scrapper get rid of both of those EXP shares. This way, when I knock out the Sigilif, it will just be a straight knockout, and all I need is an energy Whew, barely get it. Well, I get a rare candy in the wrong Klinklang. So let's attach an energy. Play down Virizion just in case he has any random, yeah, play down Virizion in case he has any random hypnotoxic lasers or something like that. I can see those being randomly teched just for a little bit more damage. I get another Klink. I really don't need any more Klinks at this point. I could use a Klang or a Shift Gear Klinklang. And had I Heavy Balled for a Klang early on instead of that second Klink, then I would have been in a much better spot. But you know what? We deal with what we have to in order to try to win. Luckily, my opponent only has 3 tools on board. He has 1 energy on his Masquerain, I mean, from the EXP share, but I really don't care if Masquerain has energy. I mean, just because he's not going to be doing anything at all. And he is just attaching a bunch of tools, bicycling, and my opponent realistically could deck out if he keeps milling through his deck like this in order to try to find an answer. I mean, that's great for me. He does start to get that Trubbish going on the bench. Why is he... There's really no reason to play those... I guess just to go into Sigilif, but if he keeps giving up his Sigilifs, that's fine with me because they're the ones that harbor a majority of the tools. Ooh, I get another Cobalion. And do I want to just Rare Candy into Plasma Steel? I mean, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to try to, like, Super Rod back in Klinklang or something like that. And here we go. Well, this works. So let's go ahead and... let's Junk Arm, get rid of the Ultra Ball and the Registeel to grab that Rare Candy from the discard pile. And then... yeah, I think I might want to Super Rod this turn, just in case. Let's play the Rare Candy, go ahead and get a Klinklang, Shift Gear Klinklang up and going, so at least I have that. Let's try to reversal in my opponent's Trubbish with energy. That's great because he doesn't have EXP share on any other Trubbish, so knocking this thing out will once again get his energy off the board, and yeah, he will be able to... like, yeah, Masquerain will get more energy on it, but again, I don't care if Masquerain has energy. All I need to do is just continually knock out these Trubbishes, keep the other Trubbishes from having EXP shares on them, and I'll be just fine, honestly. He is going to tool reversal again. I mean, he's moving around his tools a lot, but it's not doing a whole lot for him. He should finally be able to attack this turn. I mean, yeah, he goes into Sigilif, but I think Silver Bullet will just go right through EXP share, or not EXP share, will go right through Eviolite if I remember correctly. It does Juniper again, is now down to 10 cards, and meanwhile he's no closer to getting a knockout on my Cobalion. Like, yeah, he's got... okay, so he's going to try to buy a turn, but he can't attack this turn. All I need is to grab my Darkrai, and wow, I even get a Metal Energy, or a Rainbow Energy that I can move around. Let's go ahead and... do I want to Super Rod first? No, I'm going to wait until I get energy in there, and then let's hope I can get Darkrai. Don't get Darkrai, but I do get... let's get rid of the Heavy Ball and the Smeargle to grab that Darkrai so that I can get that free retreat on my Klinklang. Let's go ahead and evolve this Klink into a Klang in case my opponent does somehow manage to knock out this Klinklang, and then make sure I move the Rainbow. I mean, I can move the Rainbow or the Metal, just not the Prism. If I move the Prism onto the Klinklang, then I'm dumb, and I kind of just wasted my turn, more or less. Let's just go into Cobalion, and I think just, yeah, or any other effects on the defending Pokemon. So, yeah, I'm just going to be able to knock out the Sigilif, take another prize, get rid of another tool, and go from there. Like, I even have a benched Cobalion that can knock things out too with Iron Crusher and everything like that. So I'm just fine. Sorry if I seem a little bit distracted. I'm I'm all over the place. I'm taking a break from studying, and I'm just like mentally trying to plan out the rest of my day studying wise. My opponent is starting to go ham with all these tools on board. That's just fine with me. Really doesn't matter overall in terms of like being able to, you know, take knockouts. At least I don't think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6 on board. It's not going to do anything. He is just going to realize that that Silver Bangle doesn't change anything, and he is just going to put that onto the Sigilif for later. This is good for me because what I can do, play the energy onto Darkrai actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to start attacking with Darkrai, because this gives me 6 energy on board, keeps my Cobalion from being knocked out by a Tool Drop next turn, because he does have an EXP share on the Trubbish. And I think my play is to simply retreat into Darkrai, because it too has the resistance to Psychic that I can work with. And then this is another reason why Darkrai is so cool in this deck, because not only does it give free retreat, it lets you, it can attack. It's a very solid attacker. And then let's move this energy onto the Cobalion on the bench, because that also is not close to being knocked out. And then let's go ahead and, yeah, let's Night Spear the Trubbish. I don't think it's going to do, won't do a whole lot to anything. I think I'm just going to attack, yeah, you know what, let's just go ahead and attack this Trubbish on the bench. That way, in case there's an Eevee, I don't know, if in case something is weird, I'll still be able to knock it out. And I even, yeah, get a Heavy Ball. Unfortunately, cannot grab anything, cannot grab my Klinklang because it's in the discard pile. But at this point, my opponent, I mean, he will be able to recycle tools a little bit more, but at this point I'm so far ahead. I have 3 attackers, I have 6 energy on board that I'm going to be able to move around. Like, I'll have 7 next turn, unless he somehow is able to knock me out, which I don't see happening, honestly. 1, 2, yeah, only 6, so that'll do 100 damage. If he puts a Silver Bangle, that'll do 130, still not enough. And then I just switch into my Cobalion, knock out the Trubbish, and while I have a bunch of damaged mons, like, my opponent still isn't able to get a knockout. So, yep, my opponent is going to go ahead and Tool Drop right there, do 100 damage. That's not going to matter because all I have to do, and I even get a Skyla for a Max Potion, which is what I was going to go for. So, yeah, I mean, Cobalion and Darkrai ended up coming through, and I think it was really cool that Darkrai was actually able to come through and take some knockouts, because usually it's just there for that free retreat, which, don't get me wrong, is absolutely essential in this deck. But it was also able to come through and attack against a very good Legacy deck, a good and known Legacy deck in Tool Drop. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to end it there, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.